This is a battle in the Rome 2 Nations Cup hosted by Diplomat, and I'll put a link to the forum where he's hosting the cup from. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. I have played round 1, or the group stage, where Team Scandinavia is up against the Czech Republic. In this battle, Agony Prussian Prince, who is on the Balkan team, is fighting Shidoku, and I don't remember which team Shidoku is fighting for. Let's have a look. We have Parthia, a strong Parthian build from the Prussian Prince, versus Athens. A nice and classical matchup. But looking at these two builds, I probably won't have to tell you what's going to happen here. For the Prussian Prince, we have a total of 5 cataphracts, 4 Eastern, 1 Royal. We have 4 Parthian swords. We have 4 mercenary Sarmatian horse. We have 4 Parthian foot archers. There is nothing in this build that the Prussian Prince needs to fear. There are Threos and a mercenary, 2 Threos on this flank. There's a mercenary veteran Hoplite and a Threos over here. The center consists of 2 Thorax swords, 3 picked Hoplites. Then we have 3 mercenary Rhodian slingers, 2 Hippeus and 1 citizen cavalry. So when I said he doesn't need to worry about anything in this build, of course the mercenary Rhodians are going to shit all over his Parthian foot archers if they're given the opportunity to. But on the flanks, the mercenary Sarmatian horse can do pretty much whatever they want. When the skirmishing starts frontally, they're going to be able to ride around and get shots on the cavalry. So when Parthia does this, when Parthia starts to surround you and there are skirmishers both in front of you and in your flanks and in your rear, you're not going to be able to skirmish on all fronts at the same time. So at this point, the Prussian Prince's opponent has to make a choice. Either skirmish frontally and stop himself from getting fired upon here, or try to push away these mercenary Sarmatian horse archers. And now he's making the worst mistake you can possibly make against Parthia, and that is sending heavy cavalry to chase away horse archers. That is a great way to lose your cavalry support. And now it starts to happen. He has to peel off some Rhodian slingers to try and defend from these units, and when he does, the Prussian Prince is probably going to be able to defeat this Rhodian slinger with his Parthian foot archers and just pick them apart. And the Prussian Prince's opponent is losing his supporting units now. So the Prussian Prince has all the time in the world. He can spend a lot of time just keeping the Rhodians where he needs them. And this is what usually happens. People will try to mirror the skirmishers. So if the Prussian Prince pushes his skirmishers a bit closer to the Athenian lines now, then he's going to be able to defeat the Rhodian slingers and then pick them apart one by one, because like I said, there are no real threats in this army to the Parthian army. Picked Hoplites are good units, but against cataphracts they're going to die a horrible death. So the surround starts to happen. This is super bad for Athens. If Athens tries to box up here, boxing up with Hoplites is a disaster against cataphracts. So the small Athenian force is becoming surrounded by the Parthian. It's a nice and balanced build, this, from the Prussian Prince. Super strong, with some infantry, some skirmishers, and some eastern cataphracts. And what's the Athenian player going to do now? He can't start chasing after the Prussian Prince in all directions, because that is exactly what the Prussian Prince wants. He's going to start protecting his skirmishers with 1 infantry unit, 1 cavalry unit. So this is very smart gameplay from the Prussian Prince. And the Prussian Prince was fairly inactive in Total War Rome 2 for a while there. He mainly played tournament games, but I think he has recently been playing a lot more tournament games, and I think I can see his decision making and his strategy and his tactics improving from game to game. He's bringing better builds. He is not bringing one-dimensional builds. He is doing very smart moves to counter his opponent. And I'm going to play him in the YouTuber tournament And I think it's going to be a tall order to defeat the Prussian Prince, but the funny thing is that when me and the Prussian Prince play, what I often like to do is we'll do a matchup, and if I win that matchup, I'll ask him to switch factions. So he will play as the faction that I played against in the first matchup. And what I basically want to do there is I want to see if it's the player or the faction that made the difference. And in a lot of cases between me and the Prussian Prince, it's the faction that makes the difference between how we do. Because we tried, for example, a while back, we tried the RDA versus Pontus. And you would think that the RDA is a decisively weaker faction than that the RDA is weaker than Pontus. It just has it has a strong roster in the infantry department, but that's all it has. While Pontus has good cavalry, chariots, good skirmishers, decent infantry. But what ended up happening was that when I played as the RDA, I defeated the Prussian Prince twice, I think, and when he played as the RDA, he defeated me twice. So I don't know if that's because we suck with Pontus. It might entirely be the reason why we were defeated by the RDA. But I also played Greek Heracles with the same RDA build that I took against the Prussian Prince. And even though his chariots got 900 kills, yep, 900 kills, I was able to defeat Pontus. So I was fairly confident with how the RDA did. Then Greek Heracles played Pontus versus RDA with the Prussian Prince commanding the RDA, and he defeated the Prussian Prince decisively. So there are some player matchup mechanics at work there. Some players will do better with some factions than others. But another example is that we played Chimeria versus Parthia, and in the first battle I played as Parthia versus Chimeria, and I think I brought a no infantry build, similar to what the Prussian Prince brought with Armenia against Lulin. And I was able to, maybe I did have a bit of infantry, I think I had some Eastern Spears. And then we switched factions, so I was able to defeat Chimeria, and then we switched factions, and the Prussian Prince defeated me with Parthia, and super decisively, because he just went cavalry, no infantry, picked off my light cavalry support, picked off my skirmishers, and then he charged in with elephants against Hoplite box, and the box just broke in seconds. So I'm very interested to see what the faction matchup is going to be in my battle against the Prussian Prince, because I think that's going to be what makes the difference. I think the build and the faction. The Prussian Prince's micro is a lot faster than mine. I don't know if his decision making is better. I think we're about equal in terms of decision making. I know he will probably tell you that my game knowledge is better than him, and that is in no way bragging. It should come as no surprise that as much time as I have devoted to learning the mechanics of this game, and as little time as the Prussian Prince has devoted to it, it's not that he doesn't know how the game works. It's not that what I'm saying at all. But in terms of knowing which units match up against which units better, I think I have a slightly better understanding of that than the Prussian Prince. But then again, his micro should be, when he is on form, his micro is going to be much better than mine, especially with skirmish builds. I tend to be very reckless with skirmish builds and waste a lot of skirmishers that I don't really need to because I get impatient. So the Prussian Prince at the top of his game is a lot more patient than I am, and should be able to do well with the skirmish build. Here he's taking some damage from Thureos against his Parthian foot, but he is able to defeat the Rhodian slingers by firing at them from all sides. He's been able to split up the skirmishers of Athens very nicely. He's taking more losses than he needs to here, but he has so many skirmishers that he sort of can afford to lose skirmishers in order to take care of the skirmishers of Athens. Athens is losing its very important Epeios. It's losing its Rhodian slingers, and when Athens loses its skirmishing and cavalry support, there is really nothing that Athens can do except curl up into a ball and die. So just to finish the small rant about the matchup between me and the Prussian Prince, I think it's going to be an interesting matchup, and for me at least, it's going to be a very exciting matchup, because the Prussian Prince is a very good player. But aside from that, I am very anxious to see which factions we will be bringing. Ideally, I would want to just bring the stronger build and beat him that way. but I might not be able to do it. He defeated Blade Master very decisively in the YouTuber tournament, and that is how he advanced to meet me. So me and Blade Master are about evenly matched, I think, too, as well. There are many players in this game because of the small player pool. There are many players that are about on the same level, but it just depends so much on the decision making in the game. It depends on the map, it depends on the build, it depends on the factions that are facing off against each other. So it's not like in a lot of cases it's not like the one player is so much better than the other that it's just going to be a ruffle stomp either way, at least with the people that are somewhat experienced in the game. There are some players who have significant strengths in some areas of the game, like you don't want to face an infantry rush from a player like Llewellyn of Agartha or Panda Warrior, to a certain degree Baylor of Agartha, who won the Team Dignitas Invitational. And the skirmish build from the Prussian Prince, when his micro is good, is also going to be a nightmare to face. And to be kind of honest and fair as an assessment of my own skills, I'm not particularly good at decision making when I'm under pressure. When there's a lot of things going on, I make a lot of decisions that aren't ideal, that aren't the perfect decisions for the moment. Like a player like Panda Warrior, he's going to either be super aggressive or super defensive, depending on what he's up against. So he's able to quickly assess the faction matchup, the build matchup, and then decide if he's going to play the long game or if he's going to engage head on. Now the Prussian Prince is just picking apart the Athenian army one by one here. The units have to spread out, and this is exactly what the cataphracts of Parthia wants. The cavalry support of Athens is quickly becoming a non-factor in the battle, and when you'll see it happening here. Here the Thureos are starting to run after the Eastern cataphracts. The Parthian foot archers are going to be able to do a lot of damage to Thureos that have their backs turned. And also against the mercenary veteran hoplites, they have to be careful, because if the picked hoplites run too far forward, they're just going to get charged into oblivion by cataphracts. And if they don't do this, there is nothing stopping the skirmishers of Parthia from losing all of their ammunition into the Athenian lines. So bringing a skirmish build like this can take a lot of time, because instead of engaging head on, you're going to try to take out the cavalry support and then the skirmishing support of the enemy. Baiting some javelins from the Thureos very nicely here. He needs to keep moving out or he's going to take a lot of casualties. Slinger fire incoming against the mercenary Sarmatians, but these are mercenary Rhodian slingers, so he needs to pull back his mercenary Sarmatian horse. Did lose quite a bit of mercenary Sarmatian horse there, but he has so many units left that it's not going to be difficult for him, even if he loses more horse skirmishers than he needs to. Here we have the cataphracts baiting. They are taking some unnecessary fire. They won't be able to bait javelins as effectively as the horse archers, because they are so slow. But on all sides, the Athens army is being picked apart by the Prussian Prince. Very strange choice in bringing this high amount of picked hoplites against Parthia. Here we have the first cataphract charge incoming. It's going to be devastating. Look at the Thureos spears dropping here. And because he knocked down a significant portion of the enemy unit, he's going to be able to get through with some of his eastern cataphracts. They are sort of getting stuck though, because he didn't get the cleanest of charges. And that means he is going to be losing some eastern cataphracts. He's going to be attacked by the thorax swords, but he's going to be able to make it into the thorax swords as well and do some damage there. So very nicely done. This enables him to get the Parthian swords in, and the Parthian swords are going to do really well against Thureos spears. He did waste that Eastern Cataphract unit a bit, but doing so allowed him to get the rear shots on the Thorax Swords, allowed him to stop the mercenary veteran hoplites from getting a charge, allows him to start moving in with his horse skirmishers in the rear of Athens. The slingers are going down, the Thureos are off the field, the mercenary veteran hoplites are taking so much damage from skirmishers now. So although that Cataphract unit sort of was wasted, It enabled the Parthian swords to move in to do a lot of damage. It's enabled the skirmishers to do a lot of damage. So sort of wasting cataphracts like that might look careless, but doing it has allowed him to blob up the Athenians to a significant degree. He's now going to be able to fire into the blob and do massive amounts of damage to the Hippeos and to the thorax swords. And thorax swords against Parthian swords, the Parthian swords that are getting the charge here are going to do well. Looks like he's charging in with Parthian foot. Or maybe they were just running away from the picked hoplites. Picked hoplites are taking damage. And the Prussian prince is just able to engage at will here. Charge where he wants to, where he needs to. There's nothing, really nothing that Athens can do against this. Charging in against the Parthian foot is going to get destroyed. But it does look like the Prussian prince's opponent has formation attack on. And when you have formation attack on and you're attacking blobs, this is what's going to happen. Very few men are going to be in the fight at the same time. So not really an effective way of doing it. And then the Parthian swords are going to be able to charge in, get into the rear of the picked hoplites. The general of Athens is not doing well. Royal cataphracts rampaging through the skirmishers of Athens. Another cataphract unit incoming, charging into the stationary Hippeos. And that is good night, sweet prince, for the Hippeos lancers. Mercenary veteran hoplites being picked apart, picked hoplites being picked apart. Thorax swords sandwiched between royal cataphracts and Parthian swords are not going to have a good time. Another unit of eastern cataphracts going down in the center, but if you look at what the Prussian prince has left here, there is nothing that Athens can do to stop his cataphracts. So playing a bit carelessly here, the Prussian prince, but you can't afford to play carelessly when you have such a decisive advantage. Going in for charges with the Sarmatian horse, because they do have... they probably have spent all of the ammunition, and doing this is actually going to cause significant friendly fire to the Thoreos. And he's also killing some Thoreos on the charge. Another horse archer charge, and this is coming into the rear of the Thoreos. Could be able to break them with horse archers there. But he doesn't. Picked hoplites going down to cataphract charges and to mercenary Sarmatian horse. Another unit of cataphracts incoming. Activating trample straight into the Thoreos. The Thoreos are not braced, and that's what happens to Thoreos that are not braced against cataphracts. Complete destruction and mayhem. Parthian sword charge into the picked hoplites. The hoplites are so depleted, they're not going to do well here at all. Hoplites getting stabbed and axed to death. Cataphract charge coming into the rear of the picked hoplites. Not good for the picked hoplites at all. That's the end of that picked hoplite unit. And really nothing left on the field for Athens at this point. Just a few straggling units being surrounded and destroyed from all sides. So a decisive victory for the Prussian prince in the first battle. This is a best of 3, so we'll see how it goes in the second battle. First have a look at the... Oh, I didn't get up the kill screen. Okay. So, Strength and Honor. I will be watching the second game now and uploading it straight away.